following program is a special presentation of the Big Ten Network, produced in association with Michigan State University.
Welcome to Spartan Sagas. I'm Jim Peck. The people you're about to meet have at least two things in common. They are all working to make a change in the world, and they are all Spartans.
I work with children. I am interested in understanding what makes kids potentially predisposed or protects them from developing mood problems or emotional problems. My job is really to do a combination of clinical work, research, and teaching. I'm interested in seeing how kids regulate their emotions and how that regulation matures over the course of their development. The kids I research range from ages 8 to 18. We are interested in studying children younger, and I do have younger patients in my clinic. We have children sometimes as young as age 3 or 4 presenting with difficulties regulating or working through their moods. So being sensitive to the fact that now we're understanding that many psychiatric conditions can start in as early as childhood and adolescence, we're beginning to do a better job identifying those problems in children and adolescents and appropriately trying to find careful, comprehensive care for them.
Where's the plethysmograph?
One of the most somber morbidities associated with a mood disorder, particularly if it's untreated, is suicide. Whether it's thinking about wanting to end life or actually attempting it. And that can be a very important and reason to seek help and be in the position to do something about a particularly vulnerable mood state. Prevention is really the ultimate goal for most child psychiatrists. It's my goal personally to be able to prevent the onset of mental illness in children who might be at particular risk. I watch my daughter cry and it brings tears to my eyes. I can't tolerate almost her sadness or her tears or her frustration, whatever the cause is. My heart goes out to all the parents that I work with who really struggle to find ways to help their children not suffer anymore. And so absolutely becoming a parent has changed my perspective on that completely. I think changing the world happens at multiple levels, and if I can make a positive contribution to a single child at any given level, whether it's my own child or that of any of the patients that I see, then I'm happy. One of the principles that I grew up with was seva, which means service, doing service or community service for people, and unabashedly, without any hesitation. This is something that was very important to me, that Michigan State very much cultivated in the way that it educated me to be a very compassionate and service-oriented physician, is that I could instill hope in my patients. And I think there was no better career choice that would enable me to do that. I instill hope in my families every opportunity I get, and I think that that's pretty special. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing. I couldn't be happier. I love my job. I love my family. I'm not sure I could strive for anything more at this stage. I'm very content. If there is anything that is out there, I think it's more patient interactions, more research opportunities to develop more ideas, and hopefully, I think the one thing that's still out there is a definitive cure for mental illness for children. And I definitely feel that I want to dedicate the remainder of my career chasing after that.
It is called the Refugee Sports Club, the Refugee Sport Club, and myself and other undergraduate, master's, and doctoral students at Michigan State work with a nonprofit organization in downtown Lansing that serves refugees. And we run sport clubs each semester with a group of, say, 10 to 15 refugees, and we have 2 sport clubs each semester. We focus on giving them an opportunity to be part of a team, play sports, have fun, while also trying to infuse some life skills development, character development into that. We talk a lot about how to be respectful in the gym, how to be a great teammate, how to be a great leader, but we also talk about how to transfer that into the real world, right? So it's not just linked to, great, you can be a respectful soccer player, or you're a really good teammate in basketball, but then you go to school or you go to play with your friends or you go home and you don't carry any of those lessons into real life. And so we also focus a lot on that transfer piece. Actually, the first year and a half, 2 years, we had a lot of kids coming from Tanzania. They're actually coming from refugee camps within Tanzania, interestingly, so that wasn't their home country. But this year, we have quite a few coming from Burma, which is new. We've never had anyone from outside of Africa before, so we're really excited about that. So I would say right now those are 2 big areas that we're drawing from, but we also have a few kids coming from Eritrea and Ethiopia, as well as I believe we have 1 or 2 from the Congo and a few other countries, Zambia, and kind of scattered about. So it's a nice mix. If you frame it in the right way and you take the right approach, you're able to celebrate their differences. I thrive off of their excitement, their energy, and working with children, working with adolescents is just, it's exciting, it's inspiring. I can't think of anything better. I think that MSU, it's the first land-grant university in America. There's always been a focus on being linked with the community. And for me, I've been very supported in that, in being linked to the community, in linking research to practice and linking practice back to research. So what I'm doing in the gym, what I'm working with the refugees in my program, I'm now thinking back, how does that change my research questions? What am I doing? How do you do research that is done with the community, done with the population you're working with, instead of kind of the traditional, like, I'm researching you, I'm doing research on you. Quite honestly, I don't know if I would have gotten that experience anywhere else. Certainly when I graduate, I hope having that certification, but really going through that process of thinking about how to become an engaged scholar is, I think, quite unique. The mantra used to be, think locally, act globally, but now it's changing to this idea of thinking globally and acting locally. And I really believe in that. I think that myself and my peers and the students I'm teaching and interacting with are really interested in getting involved in the communities around them and having, hopefully, a big impact on the people in their communities.
I think Google is a pretty normal place, and it's an embodiment of the people. So the environment is, I would describe it as very collegial. I would describe it as there's a lot of activity. I would describe it as an environment where people can meet other great people, share stories, and work towards a great set of common goals. It's absolutely very exciting. I think it's something great to aspire to. I think the challenge is people don't understand in general how much hard work it takes to get an opportunity to work anywhere. If you look at any of the top companies or any of the top sports teams or any of the top art companies, any of the top anything for that matter, the amount of work you have to put in, as well as the amount of doors that have to open for you to even get the opportunity, it's hard. I've tried to build a career that focuses on passions. One of my passions is really helping people to find opportunities that are appropriate for them and opening doors. Another passion of mine is education and making sure particularly children have the opportunity to learn and to grow and have equal will to be able to follow their dreams. And so one place where Google and the education system really come hand in hand is they both open lots of doors for people to have access to information and to follow their dreams. A lot of my thought processes around diversity really came from Michigan State, because it's not just about color or gender or background. It's really about diversity of thought. It's people coming from all over the country and all over the world who've had different life experiences and bringing those things to the table. If you think about the mission to make the world's information useful and accessible for all, in order to accomplish that mission successfully, you have to have diversity of thought. Because you have to be able to connect to users from all different types of backgrounds and to be able to drive effectively products that will change their lives. And there's no way to do that without having tons of people who really think about the world from different points of view and can work together collaboratively to solve a problem. I've always felt that regardless of what my ability set is, having other people around always makes that better. And I think one of the things that I particularly learned at Michigan State working in a lot of group activities, you know, the Residence Hall Association, Black Caucus, things like that, is that one person can only do so much. And your ability to lift the spirits and also the output of the people around you are the things that's going to make the difference in terms of whether you drive something at one level or your team drives something at a second level or a third level. So from those experiences, what I've tried to do is really first be self-aware and understand what my capabilities are and understand what my capabilities aren't, and then just surround myself with great people who bring other things to the table, who bring new ideas, who bring different kinds of energy, who can push me and who I feel comfortable pushing as well. As a parent, as a member of the community in Mountain View, as a member of the state of California, US, etc., I think it's really important that I give back in ways that I have, in areas where I have knowledge, where I have skills, I have abilities, and I have experiences. And I think public education is important, one, because most people go through that process, and two, it, in a real sense, is the most scalable opportunity we have to define what being American is, what being human is, and how to contribute to society as a whole. The local school system here is called the Mountain View Wisman School District, and it actually used to be two districts, Mountain View and Wisman, that were part of the city of Mountain View, California. And over the past year, I've had the opportunity to serve as president of the board. And I really have the great opportunity to really see students grow, to really see teachers grow in their craft and give them opportunity to impact students, and really to give principals and the administrative staff the resources they need to be successful. I think success to me is a commitment to consistently delivering against my core values and to making the lives of the people who matter most to me better. Hopefully the people that I work with at Google feel like I'm a valued team member, that I'm a hard worker, and that anytime that I'm a part of a conversation that I'm adding value. I hope my family feels like that I'm supportive, that I'm loving, that I'm creating opportunities for them to be able to live their dreams. I hope the people of the school district really understand that I care about education. I believe that every one of our students is talented and has gifts that could change the world. And I want to do everything that I can from my vantage point to be able to drive that home. And I hope you know that my legacy is really that the people who are here after me understand what they can do, understand that they can dream big and define their dreams their way, live up to them, and pass that to the next person or the next set of people.
I am fascinated about autobiography and dance. I'm fascinated about how different ways, not autobiography about here's my name, here's when I was born and all of that, but how autobiography can become shared. And so through that it's a cultural autobiography, and through that a community. When people tell me their story, their oral narrative, and then I watch them move, somehow it's together. You know, it's not like 1 + 1 = 2, it's like 1 + 1 = 3. And because, you know, the intonation of my voice or how I hold my body says something about how I'm feeling about my words. And so if I can capture those attributes in terms of, you know, the energy expression, in terms of how I'm using the space in terms of my body, or the force or the rhythm of how I move in terms of tempo, I think that gives me a new sense of the person, or a unique sense. There's a lot that's in our body. Our history's in our body. We carry our history in our body. And there's a lot that can be said in our body. Again, saying it not in terms of putting a dictionary words to it. And so when I start moving and just trying to take a signature, you know, the things that I do, that's a kind of writing with my body. It was an adventure for the elders. You know, it was really just an adventure. I really believe they learned to trust their bodies. I think that the elders, they thought that dance was social dancing, and that was that, and that they couldn't dance. And so they really learn to trust their body, that their bodies could speak. I think dance has a lot of different functions. And dance has a healing function. We can think about dance as a therapeutic function where people move expressively and they work out an emotional sense. That's what I try to do with my students in a lot of different courses to get them to understand the breadth and depth of dance as a body of knowledge. I love what I do, and I think the fact that if I can expand my students' sense of what dance is in terms of the larger world, because this is part of dance, and to get them to think more broadly and to bring that richness to the community of MSU and to the larger community. And, you know, for the elders, to make them feel that they're still contributing, that was really special to me. People can do, you know, people can dig down deep, and that there's the spirit of doing something. There's the belief in humanity. There's the belief in giving back, and that giving back one also receives. Like, I feel that I gave a lot to the community, but I know that they gave a lot to me. And it's something that really, you know, it's not something that's going to necessarily go in a research paper, but just as a human being, I believe that I really grew. And that's part of the Spartan Will, you know, how people just want to make a difference. And I've always felt that way, that as a teacher, as an educator, I just simply want to make a difference.
I own a technology consulting firm. This is my second one, and I about 25 developers. And what we do is a lot of integration work and some web development, but mostly like interface and integration work. I always thought, you know, growing up, I'd be married at 25, kids at 28, right? You just kind of think that. And once I started college, it was like, wow, it's a big bad world out here. I'd lived a very sheltered life. So when I went to state, I roomed blind. I didn't know anyone. And I was like, oh my gosh. But it was the best decision I ever made. It totally prepared me for the real world. I feel, you know, you just went and you just dealt with it. You know, classes halfway across campus and rain and not a car and all the, you know, niceties that you have growing up. Freshman year you don't have. I would suggest it to anyone. I tell people that all the time if I talk to student stuff, if they're looking at a small school versus a big, go to a big school. It was a place where I learned so much, and I think established my base as a person and moving forward in the world. That the professors, fantastic. You know, I went to grad school, which is great, but there's nothing that will compare to it. I worked at my dad's gas station, so this was back in the full-serve days. So we were never brought up just being given something, right? Like money or whatever. We had to work for our money, chores or whatever. And then I work at the gas station, go pump gas, check oil, do windows. And I think it really taught us the value of $1. And I always said, I will make my own money, learning what I learned from my mom and dad and never have to depend on anyone else for that. And so a lot of it was money driven, but also it was, I have to be happy or true to myself. So there's been opportunities where it'd be, you know, really a lot of money, but it's not something I'm interested in. So I turned that down because I know I won't excel at that. Every company I've been with, that has been extremely important. I think that if you don't have a balance, you're not going to excel. Money's important, but it's certainly not the most important. I feel like I've been lucky to be in the right place at the right time, but I think the preparation, the stuff I've done, not based on just me doing it, but learning from people and paying attention, have put me in those opportunities where perhaps I wouldn't have been otherwise. It's very, at least in my world in technology, it's still a very male-dominated industry. You have more and more, I mean, you probably know this, women go into grad school, I think, outnumber men, but still getting in executive positions, it's still, you know, behind. To me, I just kind of go and do things. I've never been one to be, well, I'm a woman, I need to get special treatment, right? Very against that. I say just go for it. I mean, in some ways it can be an asset, right? In how we communicate, and I think that's why you see more and more women going higher. I just love it. I mean, that's why I say you've got to love what you do. I love the business. I just do. I've had support and help along the way when I needed it, but I just love what I do. And there's a certain high, I guess, that I get just when I close a big deal. Man, sometimes I'll be I'll be like, yeah, and there's no one even around.
I'm Jim Peck. Thanks for being with us. And remember, Spartans will.
Michigan State University, in association with the Big Ten Network.